Hello, everyone. Welcome to Long for Truth. My name is Daniel Long. Well, we have been covering the Daystar scandal now for a week or so, week and a half, and we've made 4 videos on the spiritual abuse, the alleged sexual abuse, the cult-like tactics, and the fact that Daystar's foundation is cracking. Well, today we are going to talk about the money. We are going to be following the money trail because my guest, I've invited 2 gentlemen on from the Trinity Foundation, and they are experts, and I mean experts at following the money. And when you see just how much Daystar is raking in, if you're a donor, if you're someone who has been giving regularly to Daystar, this video is going to hopefully cause you to never give another dime to these crooks again. So let me introduce my guests now from the Trinity Foundation, Pete Evans and Barry Bowen. Pete, Barry, thank you so much for joining me, guys.
It's our pleasure. Thanks.
All right. So let's talk about what you guys do there. Why don't you just each one of you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do there at the Trinity Foundation.
Okay. I'm Pete Evans. I'm president of Trinity Foundation and longtime investigator for decades here, and the sort of the chief investigator. And we're both licensed private investigators, and we have a company license here in Texas. And this is Barry, and Barry has a PI license as well. And he's been with us for, as an employee, close to 5 years, or 5 years now. And before that, a volunteer investigator for at least 14 years before that as well. So we investigate. We use everything we can. It all comes down to the most information that we get is from public sources, and Barry is very good at that. In the past, we've done trash runs. I've done hundreds of dumpsters and dug out more than I care to remember, and some really terrible ones too, really, really sticky. But anyway, Barry, why don't you talk about just a brief, what interested you?
I started helping out the Trinity Foundation in the early 2000s. I was running a religious news website, Christian Headlines, and I would come across articles about religious fraud on a regular basis. Started emailing Pete and Ole Anthony, who was then president of the foundation. Basically, I help with, both of us help with our newsletter. We send out about 3 or 4 articles a month. We also post those articles to our website. We try to do data journalism. Data journalism is seeing the bigger picture. So it's creating data sets of information. So
explanatory journalism.
Yes.
Yeah.
We examine hundreds of 990s to follow the money trail. We're tracking currently close to 70 aircraft. So we know where the televangelists are flying to and other ministry aircraft are going. We look up their $1 million mansions to document their lifestyles, how they live.
Barry has created this document that's over 400 pages long with pastors' mansions and parsonages. And it's disturbing in a way. If you look at Jesus himself, the Son of Man has no place to rest his head. You look at the disciples when they healing right out of the gate. Silver and gold have we none, but such as we have, give we to you. And so the message that it sends is totally wrong. It bugs us. The pastor jet, the mansions, the jets, luxury cars. The pastor should be speaking from a low place, not lording it over his congregation as the rich one or a member of the richest crowd, but as somebody willing to give you his last $10 in his wallet at least, if you need it to eat or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yep, absolutely. So you talked about following the money trail. Let's follow the money trail a little bit with Daystar. So describe, if you would, Daystar. Now, like I said, we've been covering Daystar now since this whole scandal has taken place. But just on your guys' end, you guys have been investigating Daystar for a while. Describe Daystar for viewers, if you would, please.
Okay. We started investigating Daystar in the late 90s, and it was sort of a mom and pop organization back then, run by Marcus and Joni Lamb. And they started purchasing television stations. They started putting themselves on cable networks over time, and they quickly became the world's second largest Christian television network. I hate to call them that because the prosperity gospel sends totally the wrong message. It's really the opposite of the gospel. So I've done trash runs. We were looking through loads of trash just a week or two ago, and that just from the hormone creams that Joni was selling to the first times that when Marcus said noticed that preachers were getting jets, and well, maybe we should get a jet too. We've never had a jet, and so. Anyway, Daystar is full of people who prophesy just whatever can get them on the air, what people want to hear. They're tickling people's ears for the most part.
Daystar is a trade name. The official name of the organization is Word of God Fellowship.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's important.
so when you try to follow the money trail, you need to know the proper names of the companies or nonprofit organizations. So that's the place to start. Word of God Fellowship is considered a church by the IRS or by the tax code. Is it really church? I would say church in name only.
Yeah, you developed an acronym for that, right?
CINC, yes, Rhino.
Right. Imitating the Republican in name only, but we're trying to stay completely away from politics. I have to tell you that. But anyway, the idea of it being a church is just totally baffled me at first. A television network with a reach that is now practically worldwide that calls itself a church. And so we did a back in 2011 or 12. Barry can help me with the timing here. There were three women that sued Daystar because they weren't permitted to. They were hired on the basis they wouldn't divorce or wouldn't have any affairs. And Marcus had just come off of a long-time affair with the program director of Daystar, and somebody, not Joni, in other words. So when Joni and Marcus realized it was going to be public, they came on the air, and he said, I'm seeking forgiveness, blah blah blah. These three women sued. And eventually the suit was ended in a tie, so to speak. There wasn't any real resolution, except for the fact that during the lawsuit, a lot of financial information came out about Daystar. And it was improperly sealed by the judge. And when he realized it came up for a hearing, which we found out about. And we had a lawyer that represented us pro bono, and he went into the courtroom fully armed with a motion to reveal all the court records, including the financial records that came out in the middle of the court case that we're talking about. And one of the quotes, I probably won't get it exactly right, but in the motion to the judge that was read in court is Daystar. They squawk church, but they waddle business. So anyway, that's what our next article is going to come out about. If very few. One other thing, tell them about the story that came out of it.
We are working on an investigative article about Daystar's business practices, unrelated business income, and other revenue sources. And that'll be revealed in a future article. There is some really disturbing information that's going to come out. We don't want to exactly reveal all right now yet.
Right, because the article's not written yet. But one of the things that happened in 2014 is NPR contacted us, National Public Radio, wanted to do a story, and we said, why don't you do it on Daystar? We have financial information, and they're one of the few folks that we do have financial information. Just for everybody's sake, churches don't have to reveal any financial information at all. They're completely exempted from what all other nonprofits have to do, churches and religious organizations. So, but what came out of it was that we had a recording of Marcus Lamb saying, Daystar has given $30 million to charity. We had him saying that the crowd is cheering and everything, but the financial records only showed $9 million to charity. So later what Daystar came back and said, well, we consider our broadcast around the world, that's charity because we're giving our broadcast people. And that was just kind of like, yeah. Anyway, so Barry's going to write more about that too.
There were some other things revealed in those documents obtained from the court. One of the key discoveries was how much Joni and Marcus were receiving in housing allowances. A clergy housing allowance is tax exempt. It's a unique tax exemption available to church leaders. And they received almost $1.7 million in housing allowances over a 10-year period. This is what allows televangelists, in some cases, to own very expensive mansions.
And speaking of that, you said let's follow the money. So so Joni Lamb owns a mansion that she and Marcus lived in, and we can send you some drone footage if you'd like to have a clip of that.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be really good.
And then she's built another house on the same street, multi-million-dollar house. Then they've got a lake house. Joni has a lake house. I forget, is it Lake Granbury?
Granbury, Texas.
Granbury, Texas. And then she and Doug Weiss recently bought a year ago or so. They bought a condo, a high-rise condo overlooking the Gulf of Mexico in Destin. Beautiful beaches.
The county next to Destin.
Okay, next to Destin, yeah. So there's 4 properties. They fly in a Gulfstream 550 jet that we estimated was worth at the time of purchase around $11 million back in 2020, right at the start of COVID when they bought it. And then they drive some pretty nice cars, Range Rover, you know.
Let me add that Joni's husband, Doug, also has the home from his prior marriage. So that's in Colorado Springs.
Wow.
That's 5 houses.
Yeah, so between them, they're not poor by any means. I think that there's a scripture in Isaiah chapter 1 and 2, if anybody wants to look at it, where the lofty will be brought low. And when I read the transcript of the interview that Jonathan Lamb recorded with himself and Joni and Jimmy Evans and his wife Susie, I thought, wow. I mean, it just took me aback. It's like I'm the voice of God to you, uh, and Jimmy saying that she's the voice of God to you, Jonathan. Well, uh, I think that was. I can't imagine a more place that's completely the opposite of humility. That's a completely the opposite of taking the lower seat. Um, it. I was shocked.
Yeah. And one of the things I want to let you guys know too, I don't know if you saw the last video that my wife and I did on this topic, but I went through I went through the video that you're talking about there, the audio conversation that Joni and Jimmy Evans had with Jonathan and Susie, and I just opened up the transcript, typed Command FN, and typed in the word submit to because I kept hearing that word over and over in that audio transcript, or that I'm sorry, the audio file. So I typed in the word submit, and minus the word submit in the comments, there was over 90 times that word was said in that conversation, which is about an hour and a half. And that's what, about a minute. That's about once a minute or so that they were telling that the word submit, you guys need to submit. You just got to submit. You got to submit, and submit or else, or submit or leave, or whatever. So, I mean, yeah.
No, I understand the boss is in charge, but I also I think it was very abusive. I just I am a boss, and I don't remember ever once, except for jokingly perhaps, asking Barry to submit to me. He does. Of course, he's a great employee. I just ask for something, and generally he does it. But I can't imagine somebody um, trying to force somebody so hard, and in this case, to sign a non-disclosure agreement. You can't say what you know. Well, why does a television network have a non-disclosure agreement? They should be totally, fully transparent. Believers are transparent. We screw up. I screw up. Barry screws up. We're sinners. Uh, if we believe Romans 3, there's none righteous, no, not one. The hearts are. We're talking about the human race here. Our hearts are full of venom. And everybody that went into that meeting that day had an agenda. But I'm going to say that the ones that were sitting in the power seat were very they were overreaching their authority completely.
Pete, when you were doing some dumpster diving for Daystar, you found some documents that Daystar gave a $20 million loan to Gateway Church. Can you just talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, I found that. Well, we didn't know at the time that Marcus Lamb and Robert Morris were close friends, but we found pages, over 100 pages of documents that reference this loan to
Gateway Church.
the Gateway Church, and and it referenced other loans as well from other other banks. There was a Prosperity Bank involved in there. Another bank I can't remember. Um, it's not the only church loan we found from Daystar. We found another one to another church as well. It was more like a $3 million loan that Daystar was kind of like having to foreclose on this small church. But anyway, back to Gateway. This was when they were building their campus in right in Westlake, or right outside, right across the highway from
South
Westlake.
Lake.
Yeah, right. It was in Southlake, but very close to Westlake, which is those are some of the wealthiest communities in the United States. Very, very good place if you're going to build a church to get high quality. If a millionaire is going to tithe 10% of his income, boom, you've got $100,000 a year from that one fellow if he gets $1 million a year. But yeah, I found a $20 million loan. We pieced it. I taped it together. I taped dozens of pages together.
A lot of people don't realize this because they don't have never examined church financial statements or 990s. But regular nonprofits file a form 990. It shows total revenue, total expenses. There's a breakdown of revenue page, and if Daystar filed that document, it would show how much money they made from these loans, but they don't provide that information to their donors.
Right. Or the fact that they're even loaning the money in the first place acting as a bank, using the huge amount of donor money that comes in to make more money. And it's the wise financial thing, but the why not help the poor? Why not spend money on helping the indigents in your community, the homeless, the poor?
Exactly. So guys, I have Barry, you sent me several links to some websites. So I'd like to share my screen out and go over and take a look at some of these websites and just have you walk me through some stuff. There's one interesting one that I want to show you. So do you mind if we do that? Take a look at the websites? Okay, great. So this is the first one here, Daystar Television Network Information, founded by Marcus Land. Now, if you look down here, if you can see, that's huge right there, $114 million in revenue. And this is the website, Rocket Research. But can you talk a little bit about that? Or
this is from Rocket Reach. It's a data
Reach
market research company.
Yep.
They collect data from the organizations themselves. So this is an accurate assessment of Daystar's financial revenue.
Yeah.
Wow. Then you sent me this here. This is Hal Lindsey Ministries. Now this is really interesting because Hal Lindsey has a program on Daystar, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Okay. So this is it? Can you walk me through this? 990 here.
Sure. On the very first page of a 990, it gives some critical information. It tells how many board members there are, and then how many independent board members there are. That's critical for if you've got a executive who's paid a whole lot. If their compensation is approved by their own employees, there's a lack of accountability there.
Who's gonna tell their boss what they should be making?
Yeah,
even though
right.
Supposedly on an independent committee.
Right. And so how?
Oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna go right ahead, and I'll ask you in just a second.
We'll say if there's unrelated business income or not, and so that's critical. Unrelated business income can be taxed. This is revenue that has nothing to do with the mission of the organization. Sometimes a nonprofit will own a building that they rent part of it out, or rent their parking garage, or make other forms of generated revenue that's taxable. That's something that we look at. You'll see total revenue and total expenses also on that first page.
Yeah,
on the first page up here. Okay. Yep.
Sort of the bottom there. Hal Lindsey brought in. They recorded a minus income that for 2023. Can you scroll back up just a hair? Mm-hmm. Okay, they brought in their total revenue, $2,187,000 in the current year, slightly more than the previous year. Now scroll back down a little bit, and they spent over $3 million. Well, they must have had, because their total assets, they have plenty of assets. Look, they've got their assets decreased by about $1.5 million or $1.3 million. But anyway, they certainly are not hurting for money.
You'll see where that money goes in just a moment. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but when you keep scrolling down, there's going to be other pages that ask questions about the organization. The IRS uses this to just know more about the
Yeah,
organization.
yeah.
Like, for
Mhm.
example, does the organization have a whistleblower policy? Do they have financial accounts in other countries? Those are some of the things that are on the 990.
Yeah, and you
Uh,
keep scrolling if you want. Keep scrolling till we get to the officers page.
Okay.
Because after all, this is more about Daystar now. But you got a little bit more. You're on the right page. A little down a little bit further. There you go. So his wife made how much?
1,238,924.
Okay, there you go.
so this would
Wow.
normally be considered excessive compensation for a nonprofit.
Mhm.
There is an excise tax that can be charged on the pay required on for the nonprofit to pay for employees that get over $1 million. But
Okay.
there's this big loophole. It does not apply to independent contractors, and it does not apply to ministries, churches, religious organizations.
Yeah, if they're given to another church. So in that year, it looks like Hal Lindsey himself, together with compensation from a related organization, made over 400,000. So between the two, over 1.6 million. And then
Yeah.
this person here, Barry, do you know who this one is?
No.
Is whether I mean, so it's in a, could be
You talking about Scott Workman here?
Brenda.
Brenda
Is that
Brenda DeVore. Okay.
You don't know? Oftentimes they'll hire family members, so we'll need to research that. But
So we're working on an article we're planning to publish tomorrow morning. It's going to reveal total compensation for Hal Lindsey and his wife over an 11-year period. For 11 years in a row, the family, this couple, received over $1 million in revenue, in $1 million of compensation
Wow.
each year.
each year. So the total was almost $19 million for the 11-year period.
Boy, I tell you, there's these guys are just raking in the money. So Barry, you were telling me, we were talking on the phone earlier, and you were telling me that, well, of course, anybody that wants to get on Daystar's got to pay airtime. So you mentioned that there was a fee that Hal Lindsey was paying to be on Daystar. How much was that?
It was over $380,000.
So let's say that let's talk about somebody like Creflo Dollar, and others who have airtime. Who else is on there? You have Creflo Dollar, the Joyce Meyer, who
Joel Osteen.
Joel Osteen.
Sunday mornings, I think 9 a.m. Central Time.
Robert Jeffries of First Baptist has a Sunday program.
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but the peak time for TV viewing for religious television is on Sundays. Sunday, there are people that they don't go to church that morning, so they'll just tune in on TV. So that's their prime time for religious broadcasting. And so the TV preachers on Sundays are paying more than other preachers to be on the air. And so you've got a bunch of other preachers also paying these expenses. Some preachers will have a TV show on the network Monday through Friday, like Kenneth Copeland. I believe Sid Roth does as well. And that's 2.5 hours of viewing, 30-minute broadcasts each Monday through Friday. They pay a lot for those slots as well.
Do people like, what about Keith Moore, Jesse Duplantis? He is
Jesse Duplantis, that's network.
Yeah, okay. Jesse has one of the largest televangelist mansions. It's huge. It's about 35,000 square feet. But his he and his wife need a little bit of room to move around, so.
Of course, of course. These people are, this is how God blesses, right? I mean, right through the hands of the donors there, So, what about now that she is married to Doug Weiss? Let's talk about that a little bit, because you guys have a program called Pastor Planes. Do you want to just give a brief overview of that, and then kind of we'll talk about the timeline between Marcus's death and Joni's marriage to Doug?
I'm glad you brought that up. So Barry started noticing that. So take it away, Barry. Yeah.
Okay. We found this website, ADSB Exchange. It allows us to track a jet by its tail number. So if you ever look at pictures of a jet or an airplane, you'll see these large numbers and letters on the back of the plane. That's the equivalent of a license plate on a car. So if you know the tail number of an aircraft, you can track it. And there's a way to look them up in the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration database.
Do you mind if I interrupt for just a second?
Go for it.
In 2019 and 2020, just when Barry started, we found this particular flight tracking database, and we were working with Inside Edition, and we worked out on a program that revealed their vacation travel in their jet. And so Lisa Guerrero of Inside Edition, we helped their producer and Lisa and their cameraman Phil get an ambush interview of Marcus about that particular vacation. So that was the first time. That was sort of a first broadsides that of our use of ADSB. But go ahead, Barry. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay. So we could put in a bunch of tail numbers and track all these jets in real time. And we've been able to discover patterns. For example, we started noticing Daystar's jet would fly to Colorado Springs. And this was in September of 2022. We started being able to track it again. We went through over a year of not being able to track that jet after the Inside Edition expose aired. So once we started tracking it again, then about a month later, October, we tracked our first flight to Colorado Springs. And then we started seeing eventually more and more flights there. And we did not know what's going on. Well, the very next year, in March, Joni announced her engagement to Doug Weiss, a Colorado Springs psychologist,
And we
sex
went,
therapist.
oh, that must be Barry goes. She must have been courting Doug Weiss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once she announced the engagement, it filled in the clue that we needed to explain why these flights were taking place. But let us back up and provide you with a timeline. Marcus Lamb, Joni's first husband, he died in November 30th, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
He had COVID, had complications. He was a diabetic. He died from that. And 2 months later, Doug Weiss filed for divorce from his wife, Lisa. So that was January 27th, 2022. And because Colorado is a no-fault divorce state, you don't have to prove fault. So typically divorces in those states are settled a lot faster. In May, I think it was May 30th or May 31st, the divorce was finalized with a divorce decree issued by the judge. So Joni wrote a book, Through the Storm, and in that book, her autobiography, she talks about dating Doug and how God has brought this man into her life. And she says that throughout the month of July, they were talking, and that in the first week of August, they went to New York City, chaperoned, of course, and
Tell what God told Doug Weiss. This is
I could give her a ring and kiss her in front of the Empire State.
Oh, okay. Yeah. In fact, I think Daniel might have already known about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, can you imagine God telling Doug to buy Joni a ring at Tiffany's and then go and kiss her in front of the Empire State Building? I mean, it just it just drives me insane when they.
Jesse Duplantis said, God told me to buy, not to buy that Mercedes, but to buy this other Mercedes here, right here. Yeah, right.
Oh
Your
my
mind told you
goodness,
that.
that's right, that's right.
It's self. I wanted to talk. It's self-seeking on steroids. It's a picture for us believers of of life apart from the cross of the wine of Ephraim, which is the wine of self-seeking.
So, guys, you guys know that there have been several YouTubers that have received letters from, I guess, lawyers from Daystar. Um, can you talk about that a little bit? And have you guys ever been sued at all?
We were sued in the '90s by we exposed Robert Tilton and his mailing operation. Uh, Prayers were being thrown in the trash, and we had been working with ABC and Primetime Live and Diane Sawyer, and he lost hundreds of million. Well, he was getting about 80 to 100 million dollars a year in income, and that just dropped dramatically after that expose. And he didn't like it, and then he was um, he blamed it on the devil at first, and then he hooked up with this cult in North Carolina that was casting the devils out, and I went undercover in there. That's a whole other story for another another podcast. But so then we were sued in the late 2000s by Fred Price because we gave a clip to about Fred Price to ABC. They only aired part of the clip, uh, and should have aired the whole clip, and that got them in trouble and us in trouble. And like Barry said, they used a hammer clause to our insurance company made us settle, and then but we had all kinds of information about Fred Price's private jet and their trips to Hawaii and his Bentleys and two Bentleys and stable of luxury cars. Anyway, that's a whole other story. I don't want to go back to court, but we've got all the proof if they want to come after me for saying what I just said. So, and their huge mansion in Hollywood, but or near Hollywood. But anyway, so and then the third lawsuit that Barry mentioned is we were sued by Cash Luna. We reprinted an article in Univision about his Cash Luna for your viewers that don't know anything. He's a prosperity gospel preacher in Guatemala with this huge stadium size uh, church. You look at the front of it, it rivals any stadium. And and so the poorest people in Guatemala and are driving to this church and clogging up the Pan American Highway every Sunday. But that he sued us because the Univision article said that he had a mansion uh, that was next to the real Queen of the South, Marjorie Chacon, who was sort of the connection between El Chapo in Mexico and the Colombian cartel. They would land their planes. She would arrange a jungle landing strip. They would land and do the exchanges with the money and everything. Uh, that's more about her. She later was spent time in prison here in the U.S. and became state's witness and probably is in a witness protection program now. But anyway, so the two Cash Luna, his mansions is on the same property as hers was, and
They had a common gate,
Yeah,
common gate
common.
entrance.
they shared the common, the security code to get in with the security guards with machine guns, and so Luna said that he didn't really have any dealings with her. Well, uh, and then of course they had Univision had witnesses. They had several witnesses that.
One of them was a former drug plane pilot.
Yeah,
Robert
it
Chacon.
turned DEA informant, and the drug pilot said that he was present. He was present in their meetings when she was arranging for the transfers of the money and drugs. So, but he denied everything, and they sued us, and they asked us to take our story down. And we, being a small organization, not having the funds to fund a lengthy lawsuit, we eventually drew it to it came to a draw. Basically, we didn't have to pay any money to them, but we did have to pay our lawyers, and we put a little disclaimer at the front of our article saying, no, Cash Luna disagrees with the facts of this article. And we had to agree that if Univision takes their article down, we would take our article down. As far as we know, that hasn't happened. So anyway, and they did not win their lawsuit against Univision either. So every time we get sued, our insurance rates go up, and that's really what these non-disclosure agreements really do frighten people. I had a reporter from the LA Times tell me once that Christians are cowards. Well, in some ways, a lot of Christians are, but the thing is, if you sign a non-disclosure agreement, they can keep you in court for a long time, tied up in court for whatever information you reveal. So these non-disclosure agreements they're evil, in my opinion.
I want to back up and add some things about the Univision lawsuit. Cash Luna first sued Univision for libel, and he sued in Florida in a state court. That was thrown out, or actually, I think it was a county court. I think he first filed. It was thrown out because Florida has an anti-SLAPP law. SLAPP, that's a acronym, SLAPP.
Strategic lawsuit against public participation.
Right. These kind of lawsuits, the person that files them, it's a form of harassment. They're trying to silence somebody, scare somebody, that they know that the facts are not on their side. And so the case was thrown out. So then he appealed in state court. And when Cash Luna sued Trinity Foundation, he sued us in federal court. I guess that was a sidestep anti-SLAPP provisions in the state of Texas. So one of the key things is knowing where people file. In order to do court research, you need to know what courts to look up. There is a federal website, pacer.gov, and we're able to look up court cases, federal ones. It's more difficult finding state and county jurisdictions.
Well, we are going a little bit of astray about the following the money trail with Daystar, but the assets owned by by Joni Lamb and Doug Weiss pretty much tell the story, and the private jet. But you're welcome to interview us more about our investigations. We got plenty of stories to tell if you want at some point.
I would absolutely love to do that, guys. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on and talk with me. It really is amazing to me how greedy just how greedy these prosperity pastors are. These televangelists, Daystar itself. These folks are not. Well, first of all, we know they're not a church, even though they claim to be one. But these people are. For them, it's all about the money, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's there are scriptures about that. The the love of money, the root of evil. Then just look at the example of the disciples who went around the world. And Jesus, when he sent his disciples out, don't take any money with you. So anyway, do you have a final?
As an organization, we're advocates for donors. We believe in donor responsibility.
Yes.
Donors to check out the organizations they financially support. It's very difficult to do that for an organization like Daystar because they don't provide proper financial reporting for their donors.
Yeah.
And if they do decide to sue Jonathan and Susie Land and any journalists or YouTubers for libel, they do not disclose to their donors how much they spend on legal expenses. 12 years ago, there was a big, long, protracted court battle. Began with TVN and the granddaughters of the founders of the network. Brittany Crouch, Shakara Crouch, the network sued them, or the network sued Brittany, and she countersued, and then her sister sued TVN. TVN spent over $20 million in legal expenses over a series of years. Over $20 million.
And they sued her how many times?
Over 20 times, at least 22.
Wow.
Yeah. All
That
right.
is insane. That is insane. Guys, you have been such so great to come on here, especially it's late here in New York. You're in Texas. I'm in New York,
Yeah.
but it's really an honor to have both of you guys on here. And yes, I would absolutely love to do more interviews with you. And I'm sure as more news comes out about Daystar, you guys are going to have the inside scoop, and I'm gonna come after you. I'm gonna come after you. So
In a couple of weeks when we publish our like the 18th, 16th, 17th, somewhere around there.
Okay.
We'll have another article that will be worth having another podcast about, we think. So
Awesome. All right, guys. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, please share it, pass it along. Lord willing, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.